decisions on the next step is always difficult, because you don't want to decide and then stay a month or two and then realize it's actually not what I want. That's why thinking about it and really reflecting on it is so important. In general, the reflection process is very important and should be properly taken time for. I think, it really comes down to passion. I mean, she or that particular person has to has to decide, what are my passions? Do I tried building something, it's great, but I don't really want to go through that again, because it is tiring as well to be a founder. Do I want to actually build an accelerator where I support other founders, or am I really good in PR and I can support them with that? I mean, I think it comes down to taking time and reflecting, what are my passions, but also what are my skills? What am I really good in? Right? What can I really add value? I think that's important. And if you bring that together, your passion and where you can see you can add value potentially more than what's on the market now, I would go for that. Or maybe even create new roles. We see new roles being created. Like you said, venture studios is booming at the moment. Ideation stage is a very interesting area to be in, to really create this ecosystem. How do you create an entrepreneurial mindset in people? So I really think, it's the discover your passions, and it's difficult. It's easier said than done. It's very difficult to discover what am I really passionate about. And what I think is also important to accept, passions can change over time, you know, and it's not something to suddenly feel like, oh, what's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong. You might have been, super passionate about, I don't know, climate change, but suddenly you realize I'm actually more passionate about education of people. So it's like, even though it can overlap, but I think it's important to also accept passions change. Skills, most of the time, I mean, might stay the same, but you acquire new skills, and usually those are transferable skills. No matter what you did in life, you can transfer them and learn, and use them on whatever new job you build for yourself. But I think it's really, discover your passion, discover your strength, and and don't be afraid to carve out something for you that maybe doesn't even exist yet. I've seen a few examples, especially like in, let's say, new countries like UAE, not in the older European countries where things are often very settled. It's a little bit harder maybe to break through certain patterns. I've seen it myself in Germany, that many times they expect you to, having done certain things in order to do something. But in, let's say, more developing countries, emerging countries, sometimes it can be easier. It's never easy, because there you deal with other issues like, I was just speaking on a panel about Africa yesterday, and entrepreneurs there have to deal with a lot of issues. Sometimes you don't have electricity, or you have people who don't even have a bank account. So depends on where you are, you deal with different issues. So I think it has to come down, really has to boil down to the fact, what do you really want to do, what are your skills, and what do you see yourself for the next 5 years potentially. And even if you make a decision now, doesn't mean you have to stay there for the rest of your life. What's good about nowadays, I find, is that people change, and that's totally fine. You can change from different sectors, geographies, stages, depending if you're in a startup or VC. So